much indeed. Well, now, with pressure mounting as never before on local authorities to find new and imaginative ways of cutting their costs, they're having to devise ever more creative ways of delivering their services. Since July last year, 21 councils have become cooperatives, among them Telford and Wrekin in Shropshire and Stoke-on-Trent City Council. The cooperative movement say it's an idea whose time has come back. BBC Shropshire's political reporter Liz Roberts has been investigating what it'll actually mean in practice.
Most people have used a co-op to buy a pint of milk, pay in a cheque or even book a holiday. But behind the well-known brand is an idea that's now being adopted across all aspects of society. This artwork tells the story of the cooperative revolution. From its humble beginnings in Rochdale, its principles were spread through the writings of the Birmingham Victorian radical George Holyoake. And now in Telford, a more modern cooperative revolution is quietly underway. Telford and Wrekin Council became a cooperative after the Labour group took control last year. It points to the success of these apprentices as a practical way a co-op can work.
The apprenticeships in the parish environmental teams have come about because of a partnership between the parish councils and the borough council. So those are new apprentices, new jobs for local young people.
So how does that differ then from the way that any other council might operate?
We're involving partners, we're involving residents, and we're doing something that wouldn't have happened if it weren't a cooperative council, because what would have happened before was the government cuts would have taken effect and that service would have been lost.
But of course there are those who view the council's approach with an eye of scepticism.
This is what the council is here to do. We're here to represent local people, work with local people for the local borough. And it was never any different from that, and that's carrying on as normal. There is no tangible or palpable difference to a cooperative council from any other.
It's not just local authorities where the movement is spreading. This Telford school is part of the Schools Cooperative Society. Set up 4 years ago, it now has 340 members. And it doesn't stop there. AFC Telford United is owned by a supporters' trust, and Telford Tigers, the local ice hockey team, has just adopted the same cooperative ownership. Then there's the political arm. The Co-Operative Party, which works with Labour, has seen its membership grow by almost 50% in 3 years. And now the Conservatives are talking co-ops as well.
Co-ops have virtues of local involvement and thrift and spreading well-being and wealth, and those things are actually completely compatible with capitalism and certainly with a properly understood conservatism.
So if parties of all colours have found an idea they agree on, is working together the new centre ground in politics?
Yeah, the centre ground rapidly becoming the holy grail of British politics, isn't it? Liz Roberts reporting there. And we're also joined here today by Paul Kalinauckas, who represents our part of the country on the Co-Operative Party's National Executive Committee. He's the Chief Executive of the Black Country Reinvestment Society, aiming to help small businesses get access to finance. And he stood as the Labour and Co-Operative Party candidate for the Wrekin in Shropshire at the last election. What do you make of Jesse Norman's intervention there? Because he says, having founded something which I'm told is called the Conservative Cooperative Movement, yeah, there is no contradiction between that and conservatism and capitalism.
Well, cooperative is such a trusted brand that everyone's leaping on the bandwagon nowadays. I think the difference is about the values. I mean, the core values of the cooperative movement around equity, solidarity, I'm not sure that fits with every single political party. There's what's known as mast values, and I think some people are sort of a bit of Trojan horse here going on.
Are you saying then that it is incompatible with conservatism, that the link that he's trying to suppose there is actually non-existent?
I think it fits a bit with compassionate conservatism that's referred to. But, you know, when he's talked about capitalism, well, cooperative movement is based on one member, one vote, issues withdrawable share capital. If you've got 500,000 shares, you've got one vote. If you've got one share, you've got one vote. That's not compatible with traditional capitalism.
So how exactly does this work in practice? Because Andrew Eade there, the former Conservative leader in Telford and Wrekin, says that there's no tangible difference. It's just putting a name on something that happens anyway.
Oh, no, there's a real tangible difference. I've been working with the Cooperative Commission up in Telford and Wrekin, had a meeting recently, and this is a year on since they went down this route. There's a tangible difference in the way the council works with the community, the way the council works with itself. Less of a silo mentality, There's more cooperation, more sharing of ideas, and also in terms of community regeneration, the community really believe that this cooperative council is actually working with them and not doing things to them.
There is the cooperative political arm, as we were hearing Liz's report there. We keep reading, according to the polls at least, that politics is becoming much more fluid, with UKIP rising and maybe the Liberal Democrats sinking back a little bit. Do you think that there is a kind of fundamental change being witnessed as part of the process you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't think quite UKIP are coming into the centre stage here. But
no, but they indicate a fluid political system,
yeah,
is the argument from the opinion poll.
Yes, I mean, I think where it is developing is that cooperation rings naturally with most people. Most people like to be cooperative. The fact there's a political party that's actually articulating cooperative values, and there are economic models developing of cooperation. You know, some like 6,000 cooperatives are running in this country, £35 billion contribution to the economy in the UK, 1 billion cooperative members worldwide. I mean, it's a time that's coming around full steam.
There you are, Sir Albert. A very persuasive message. Do you think it's time for Birmingham City Council itself to become a cooperative?
Well, we're already exploring that to cooperative model. Our schools at the moment, free schools, academies, and those schools which are within the local authority, perhaps need to continue to work as a Birmingham family of schools. And so we're exploring exactly that cooperative model to try and keep the family of schools together here in Birmingham.
Is there, I wonder, when I read Jesse Norman's book, The Big Society, a thought that occurred to me, Karen, was that there was an echo here of the original cooperative movement, or am I being fanciful? I mean, just hearing Paul talking there, do you think there is something in
I think, I think politics has moved, it's changed, it is fairly fluid at the moment. And I think, Jesse's adopting the principles that are probably the first principle of the cooperative movement. But, cooperatives exist all over the place. We in Feckenham, in a village near where I live, there's a cooperative movement that runs a shop. We've got cooperative homes in Redditch that build houses. They're there all the time. For no reason, it's not specifically a Labour Party issue. I think it's an issue for all of us in the country, to be fair.
But you are, I mean, the whole history of this is with the Labour movement, isn't it?
Yes.
So what do you see a bridge being built here?
Yeah,
with
I think things are changing. But remember, historically, we are the political arm of the cooperative movement. Why did it set up a political party? Because it needed to. It's been discriminated by the current government at the time. So yes, things are changing, but it's how we actually put it into practice. And we've seen things like there's been funds for cooperative pubs, cooperative shops. They've been cut by the government. We had Northern Rock, this massive demutualisation of the building societies, converted into banks, led to part of the financial crisis we're involved in. Let's remutualise it. No, it was sold off to Virgin Money. So we're not actually seeing the actions follow the words that have been prescribed.
But when you talk about a political party, actually it's only the Conservative Party that let their members have one member, one vote to vote for their leader.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
But what people care about is what goes on the ground. British Waterways, that could have been converted into cooperative. We've got Foundation Trust Hospitals, they're cooperatives. The BBC, we'd like to make that into a cooperative. So all the viewers can become members. And then there's much more greater accountability. That's what people want nowadays. They want that accountability. They also want the trust that comes with the cooperative brand.
And final word with you, Albert. When you think about the financial crisis and so on, the cooperative movement was one of those areas, and the bank associated with which emerged from all that with its reputation enhanced, if anything.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Paul is absolutely correct here. There is a set of values associated with the cooperative movement, and I think there is a notion here that people are returning to because they respect, they understand those values and want to be part of it.
OK, thank you, and particular thanks to Paul for being here with us today. Well, now for our regular roundup of the political week in the